The finance sector, so I'm not the expert on this particular area, so I tried to do a bit of research, and apparently just over 6 weeks ago the former bank president and senior loan officer of the First City Bank of Georgia in the USA, they were charged with a variety of offences including conspiracy to commit bank fraud and misconduct in the years before the bank's seizure by the state and federal authorities in 2009. Mr. Speaker, at the time of reading the indictment, the United States Attorney Sally Yates said, or Quillian Yates said, quote, "The entire country has felt the deep economic impact of failed banks. At the heart of this indictment is an abuse of power by key insiders who are charged with tricking their own colleagues into approving millions of dollars in commercial loans to fund the defendant's own personal business activities and to enrich themselves at the bank's expense." End of quote. Mr. Speaker, it's scandals such as these that make, I suppose, Alan Bollard, Governor of the Reserve Bank, reach only the lowly spot of 64 on last year's most trusted people's list, trailing behind a cast of movie stars, sports people, celebrity chefs, and I note not one politician. The recent volatility of the financial markets internationally has had its own direct impact here in Aotearoa. And I remember at the first reading of this Westpac New Zealand bill, mention was made of the fact that Westpac CEO George Frazis was rewarded with a $5 million pay package, over 100 times the incomes of some of the staff he represented. Mr. Speaker, I know this bill is not about cases of bank fraud offshore or even the salary package of Westpac employees, but both of these factors contribute to a general context of some uncertainty in the banking industry and the financial sector. The truth is, the global recession has affected the whole of New Zealand, including the banking sector. And so when we come to this bill, Mr. Speaker, a bill which is essentially to ensure the efficient conduct of Westpac New Zealand's business, we cannot help but be influenced by that wider context I referred to. However, we also acknowledge that there is nothing in this Act which exempts Westpac from the provisions of any enactment relating to banks or banking. This includes the Reserve Bank Act and policies and the Banking Code of Conduct. Code of Conduct will still apply to protect customers and clients. By implication, Mr. Speaker, the Māori Party supports compliance and accountability with legislation to monitor banks and services to customers, and acknowledge too that the transfer will include and ensure protection of the rights of employees. Not to go on for too long on this particular topic, Mr. Speaker, but we do want to recognise that Westpac has a reputation for giving due and specific attention to Māori business and initiatives within the Māori community, such as the Westpac Māori scholarships and the financial education program. They also demonstrate a commitment to develop specific Māori products and services such as papakainga lending, tangihanga insurance and iwi saver. And to top it all off, they are developing customer and product information into reo Māori. Me mihi ki a rātou kātika. Banking, Mr. Speaker, at its very essence is all about balancing the ledger, measuring the values of the assets against costs of the deficits. In this way, we recognise that this bill is fundamentally about the transfer of assets and liabilities from one banking entity to another, and it is in that respect largely practical in nature. So taking into account everything, Mr. Speaker, we support this bill at its second reading, and a genuine commitment to have to ensure a more efficient, transparent and accountable banking service is in place for the betterment of all. Kia ora mai.
Call David Ben.